Alright, what's up everybody? It's Lyds, and we are back to break some more thrones, and last time we completed what was one of the last encounters, at least of the ones we know about, here in Moulderwood, and that means that pretty much the only thing we have left is the main quest to confront Eldain, the leader of the Scoia'tael, who have been causing quite a few troubles here in the forest. We do technically have a shrine. We might just stop back off at that real quick before we head over to see Eldain. That way we're on high morale going into that encounter. Oh, except we're actually on high morale right now. Okay, in which case I guess we don't need to do that. So let's start heading over. And one thing you guys were talking about a little bit in between episodes was that, well, let's just remind ourselves that our deck is certainly not yet in the best of shape. We've very much taken a long-term approach to our upgrades. We look back at what we have done thus far. Remember that, of course, we were stuck for almost the entirety of our time in Eldain with a deck that was technically illegal because, well, actually, I suppose it'd be more helpful to look here. Our recruit cap was, our recruit number was above our recruit cap, so our entire deck was frozen. We could not change anything unless we just basically took all of our best cards out and put in junk cards instead. So in order to combat that, we had to save up resources for a long time, and it took a while because resources are pretty scarce here in Eldain. And then eventually we got around to the point where we could actually increase our recruit cap. Was it this one? Oh no. Yeah, that one. Where we increased our recruit cap, or no, that's not what it was. It was this one. This one. Increase our recruit cap was previously, I think, 125 up to 150. This might be the thing we're eyeing next. We have enough wood. We do not have enough coins for it yet. But basically, that means that because it's been things like this to increase our recruit cap, things that give us additional resources when we finish battles, we've taken much more of a meta upgrade approach, things that will benefit us over the long haul because we got them really early, but we haven't done many things, basically done nothing that directly affects the effectiveness of our deck. And so that means our deck is still pretty darn weak right now, and it is an absolute mess here, without a doubt. We have pretty much just taken whatever scraps we had remaining after we got thrown into Eldain, and then thrown in the new cards that we got for free just as we were going along the campaign, which fortunately after increasing our recruit cap we can now do. Previously that wasn't even an option. So for the past couple of encounters or so, we've been just experimenting to see, okay, what's it like to have Xavier and Black Rayla, and Reynard actually does have at least one target to reset with his order, or with his deploy ability. So it's still by no means is a cohesive deck at this point. Absolutely not. So no worries. It's not great now, but we have made, as I was saying, those meta upgrades that once we do get the resources to actually purchase the units, or we find another way to acquire good units and other cards to assist us, then we should be able to fast track our way to a much more effective and cohesive deck in the future. Because right now it is just, it's a little all over the place, but we know. We have just prioritized the long term over the short term. So let's just make sure that we are still headed in the right direction. That we are. I think we've determined that pretty much all these question marks are just these bridges that are actually spike traps. So we are not terribly keen on going in any of those directions because it just costs us wood to repair the bridges when we can just instead go straight to Eldain.
Have we not passed this way before?
Scouts say no, Your Grace. They mark the trees.
Elves could have erased the marks, or left new ones where we've yet to tread. Best to follow the sun. Only way not to lose your bearings.
Huh. Have we really not crossed this bridge before? I mean, I know we've been in this general area before, but I don't know if we started approaching this bridge and said, no, hold on, we're headed toward Eldain. No thanks, we're going to save that for later. Or if that's their reaction to, hey, Lyds, by the way, you've already been here before. But either way, let's carry on. I suppose there's a chance we could still get ambushed by the Scoia'tael somewhere before we reach Eldain. It's possible. There are definitely plenty of Scoia'tael hanging out in the bushes and what have you. There is a point of interest here. No idea what it is. We do have this fast travel spot. Let's just take a look here first. Make sure that we have that unlocked for convenience sake. And then I suppose we investigate to see what this is. It looks like a large pile of rubble. It does not have any battle or puzzle signs on it. Let's see, Your Majesty. These are the ruins of an elven temple. Cracks in its walls have revealed it holds valuable treasures, as well as monsters. We can't send our entire army to fight them, but a small detachment should manage to push through. The question is whether it's worth the risk. Ooh. So we can sacrifice recruits, 8 recruits, in order to get gold. Recruits, we've been stockpiling quite a bit. We've basically never spent them outside of the occasional scenario like this because, as I was saying before, we've never actually purchased a unit card. We could send Eik if we had him, and then it would be free. It would just be 400 additional gold. That'd be awesome. Or we can turn around and say, thanks but no thanks. I mean, at this stage, certainly at least short term, gold is much more scarce than the recruits are. Not because we've had any more luck getting recruits than gold in Eddern. I assume they've been coming in at roughly the same rate, just that we have not been spending any recruits. We've been spending as much gold as we can to get as many upgrades as we can. So, you know, at least short term, I think it is worth it. Obviously, this would have been ideal, but I could talk ad nauseum about how that did not go so well with Eik and how we might have pinned ourselves into a corner a bit with Rayla, and perhaps she's going to do what Eik did previously and abandon us as well. Certainly hope not, but we'll see. Okay, so that gets us up to almost 1,700. Let's just take a quick look. Is that significant enough for us to now be able to afford any additional upgrades? We could increase the number of trinkets Meve can equip, and I think I was talking about this recently, how initially I might have dismissed this as a not very good upgrade. However, it actually is deceptively good, because although, sure, trinkets in some cases may not be your best cards, we have picked up some decent ones as of late, so they're starting to become much more of a potentially strong addition. But since they don't cost any recruits, that means that they are an efficient way, the most efficient way, to put cards into your deck without affecting your, or without increasing your recruit cap, which means the cards that you do have that cost recruits can be that much better. You can just load up with a bunch of heroes and what have you if you add 4 trinkets in your deck, for example. But although that is nice, we were talking about, you know, this would be the dream, but again, we don't have a way to spend this stuff right now. But as I was saying before, in case you can't tell, I'm kind of someone who is on the absolute extreme end of the spectrum when it comes to long-term saving versus short-term spending. So anything that might benefit us over the long haul, yeah, those are the things that are catching my attention. So this, I think, was the one we were thinking we would do next, even if this is technically mathematically superior. It's just obviously a lot more expensive. But we can't afford this yet. We're kind of close. Certainly 2 encounters would probably do it. This one we could do, but I'm not sure we want to spend so many stuffs on that when we're so close to reaching this. Which I think is just a little more versatile, perhaps. Oh, and what? Where did that come from? That was definitely not there before. Neither was this. Hold on. Hold on. With those resources, we're still not at the number we're looking for, but we are getting seriously close. But that does prove that, as we've seen some other times before, and this broken wagon on the side of the road might reinforce this theory, that in this area, even if there doesn't appear to be anything showing up on our map, there have been new encounters that show up only when we are right next to them, which is, I suppose, sort of fitting, what with this being a thick forest with very low visibility. Well, that doesn't look good. I assume we can't cross it. Okay, that's understandable. But person we're looking for, Eldain, is of course up in this direction. And what exactly is he going to have to say to us? He's been trying to send all of his Scoia'tael troops after us this entire time we've been going through the woods. So I have to imagine he's not going to be pleased to see us, and is probably gonna, well, pick a fight, but who knows? Who knows? I mean, well, it's gotta be an ambush, right? It's gotta be an ambush. Clearly, this open area, right, with all these trees and rubble surrounding it, where there are a bazillion places for, say, archers to be hiding, just waiting with their bows drawn, just ready to set those arrows loose with a quick signal. Yeah, that's probably what's about to happen to us.
Meve was riding at the head of the caravan when Black Rayla rode up and leaned towards her. She spoke in a whisper, a hand shielding her mouth.
Your Grace, I have something important to tell you. Yet you can't show anything to miss. Look straight ahead. Make no sudden moves.
Meve nodded slightly and waited for her to continue.
Scoia'tael scouts in the woods, watching us. Eldain's near here somewhere, preparing his attack.
Exactly.
So what do you propose?
Asked the Queen, her gaze fixed on the road ahead.
Let him catch us out in the open. We're sitting ducks.
Mm-hmm.
There are ruins nearby, an elven cemetery. We can find cover behind its walls.
Meve was accustomed to discussing important decisions with all her advisors, but she knew there was no time for consultation now. She had to trust Black Rayla's advice, and so without further delay issued the appropriate orders.
I mean, do we know we can get there? Do we not have to cross out into the open in order to get into that cover? And by then, is it too late?
Meve's retinue reached the cemetery before dusk. Her soldiers knocked down the marble statuary and piled them into barricades, while scouts took up positions outside the walls to watch for the foe's approach.
Never mind that we just destroyed a graveyard and we're totally cursed now.
The heat of the day, and a thick fog soon arose. Out of the mist stepped Reynard's scouts, bound and pushed forward by elves. One of the Scoia'tael, a sturdy elf with long hair, stood by the cemetery wall and cried,
Something tells me that diplomacy is probably not going to be an option here.
I am Eldain. I would speak to Meve.
Oh. Well, here he is. Maybe I'm wrong.
I am she. Speak.
Cadmil and Kedva Genvid, Renna. This place is of great import to us, the Enshe.
Sure. I mean, that's cool, man. We're really just trying to pass through. Don't mind us. I mean, we'll just ignore the fact that you have sent countless troops after us, trying to ambush and murder everyone in our group. But, you know, if we can just put beside all the past troubles we've had, then I'm sure we can just go our separate ways and forget we ever crossed paths at all.
I would tell you of its monuments, of the weeping Ensevern, carved by 3 generations of sculptors, or of the alabaster relief of King Kellad, so beautiful even the birds would gather to admire it.
Yeah, he would tell us, but we did kind of just destroy this entire area around here, and so might have set a bit of a bad first impression.
But I see your men have found our memorials, and in the way of Dwan, destroyed them without a second thought.
I mean, there was some thought there. It just was, you know, that we didn't really trust you not to brutally murder us and ambush us.
I cannot say this comes as a surprise. You've already shown the gods molded you from the basest of matter.
Yeah, because, you know, it can't really come as a surprise to us if the people who have been attacking us non-stop since we ever set foot in this woods would see fit to do so again.
Get to the point, Eldain.
So I shall. As you certainly know, the necropolis is surrounded. Soon, there shall be a battle.
Okay. Sure. This was to be expected.
But it is unseemly to fight in a cemetery. So I ask you to come out into the open.
Eldain. Come on, man. He's like, I was gonna ambush you in here, where there was this big opening, and I could send all my archers in around the perimeter and shoot at you while you had no cover at all. But then you went and destroyed the cemetery and created some cover, and that just won't do. I just need to have all these advantages before we initiate this encounter. And so, if you could just so kindly, say, relocate into a place where I once again would be able to ambush you and have you out in the open, where I can just snipe everyone before you can actually reach any of my soldiers. Yeah. Might have to say no to that one.
And surrender our tactical advantage.
Exactly.
I suspected a matter so impractical as respecting the dead would mean nothing to you, Dwan. So I submit one more argument. The lives of the soldiers you sent to spy.
Okay. How many spies did we send out? Because, as much as we would like to not have those spies get brutally murdered, if our entire team gets brutally murdered because we decide that we want to be honorable and save those spies, then it might not end so well for the rest of us.
If you leave the cemetery, I shall set them free. They will fight at your side. If not, I shall kill them, here and now.
Okay, quite the ultimatum, Eldain.
Milady, don't listen to him. He can't be trusted.
You could very well be right with that, Rayla.
Rayla, those are good men. Fabian, Gerrit, Matthias, they've served me for a decade. They'd crawl through 7 hells for their queen. They do not deserve such a death.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Now you're pitting us against either Reynard or Rayla. And so, this does certainly make me wonder, just thinking about past experiences with relatively big encounters such as this, that perhaps doing things a certain way that might not coincide with one of our allies' beliefs might cause said ally to then leave. Yes, of course, our previous experience being with Eik, and as we've said previously, there's some concern that maybe Rayla might decide to do the same thing, and we did kind of just rebuild our entire deck, as shaky a deck as it might still be around Rayla, so to lose her now would be quite painful. Quite painful. So, although certainly the perfect outcome would be for us to save our scouts and then still defeat Eldain, even with whatever advantage Eldain gains from that situation, that certainly seems like that would not please Rayla, and I am very, very concerned about losing Rayla right now. I was worried that after the Elven hideout that we might have already set that fate in stone, but she's still with us here and now, but this feels like this could be our big turning point where either she definitively says, I'm here, or definitively says, I'm gone. So, I kind of don't love it, but at the same time, if we're trying to appease Rayla, I think we might have to do it. Of course, no way of knowing for certain, but I think, at least for that reason, we don't trust Eldain.
I place a high value on my men's lives. Which is why I cannot risk my entire unit for a handful of soldiers.
That too.
Your Grace, please, consider.
I reject your offer, Eldain.
As you wish, Rena. Squash me.
Wish I knew what that meant.
In a swift, almost careless movement, Eldain slit the throat of the scout standing nearest to him, then gave the order to attack.
Alright, yeah, it certainly is +1 point, or maybe +2 points on the Ruthless Dictator side of the equation, but like I said, I feel like we might have had to, just to make sure that we don't lose Rayla. So let's see, the battle at Kedva Genvid. Eldain wore no armor, wielded no shield. He glided on the battlefield with a dancer's grace, walking on air, evading attacks with elegant ease. His own blows sliced so smoothly through the air that it seemed to Meve his blade never found the mark. That is, until Lyrian started collapsing to the dirt, in vain to stem the blood spurting from their arteries. The wounds were small, no more than thorn pricks, yet devastatingly lethal. Okay, it's a story battle. Really? Only 1 round, okay. So, alright, let's do it. What do you have? What do you have, Eldain? Just 1 round. Make sure we remember that. That is key. Let's see if we can gather any insights here. So, Eldain, order spawn Elven Cutthroat. I wish I remembered which of the Elven cards that was. On the range row, then lock the lowest enemy and move it adjacent to... What? So he basically captures our weakest units. I mean, thematically, very cool. But also concerning. That sounds really strong. Cooldown 3? Oh man. That's gonna be tricky. That's gonna be really tricky. What I'm wondering... Well, so what that says to me is that we definitely want to focus on units that have deploy abilities. Cards that basically, when we play them, they immediately help us. And so that way it doesn't matter if they get stolen later on. They've mostly already done their thing by the time they do get stolen. So that means keeping things like Stray Slingers, and not sure how I feel about the Strays Infiltrator. I definitely like the Strays Bomber. The combination of Strays Bomber plus Infiltrator is iffy at best. Then at the moment we do not have anything to combine with Reynard. So that is certainly a risk. I do really like that we have the Stray Slingers that can help set up Gascon, and I'm liking the Strays Cavalry as well, because I am curious to see. At the moment, this could end up being our lowest unit that we have on the board, and if we mark one of their units and this gets stolen, their unit is still going to get marked, and this Strays Cavalry is still going to be on the board. Does that unit that they've marked still take damage? Even though the unit that marked it and the unit that is marked are on the same side of the board? I'm not entirely sure, but it feels like that's technically a possibility, strange as that might seem. So the question here, I think, is primarily, do we use Reynard? He is part of what could potentially be our best combo, but I'm not sure we're going to get the other pieces to it. So you know what? I think we get rid of the Infiltrator. Just a little too risky, and I think we, at maximum, probably take one Strays Cavalry just in case it does not work. As I was theorizing, it might possibly work, because I'm not sure by any means. Okay, 2 Strays Bombers, definitely good there. We can set both rows on fire. That's pretty sweet. That means, yeah, getting rid of the Infiltrator is definitely a good thing. We have yet to get what we would need Rayla, really Rayla, for Reynard to be meaningful, and ideally Rayla plus Xavier. So, you know what? Interesting as it might be, not loving this. Not loving this. Okay, we have 1 switch remaining. I think in that case, we do get rid of Reynard. And if we're just comparing, it's going to be one of these two, right? It's our weakest card that we have right now. If the Mark does continue to work and deal damage to our opponents, even if the Strays Cavalry gets stolen, then this is probably better. If not, then Reynard's probably better. So it's largely a question of what do we think of that theoretical situation. Let's give it a chance.
Careful, stay alert. They're cowards all, and sure to have laid traps.
Traps, you say? I'm guessing that it's not a coincidence. What do we have here? Tactical advantage. Summon up to 2 units of your choice from your deck. Oh, if I had looked to see that that was a thing, then I definitely would have kept Reynard, because then we could go Reynard plus Javier and Black Rayla. I mean, we could still do this. Or this. We see which one is best, but either way, I think, at least for the moment, why don't we begin by, I think, setting a row on fire. That way, assuming that Eldain will use that order ability on his next turn, he's going to just steal whatever is out there, so we don't want to play anything that's a really powerful unit. So let's go with something that is just pure deployability.
Catch!
And, I mean, take your guess. Well, actually, we know he's going to be playing things in the range row. Those Elven Cutthroats will end up over there. So let's do that. And we're going to wait a little bit before we do this. Right, yep, so as expected, he steals that. Then the Cutthroat is the one that after 1 turn start, destroy a locked enemy. Damage all enemies by 2. Death Wish, remove an enemy lock. Put it back to its original side. Boost all allies by 1. So if we can destroy the Cutthroat, then that actually could be very useful to us. For 2 turn start, summon a random elf from your deck. That can get out of hand very quickly if we're not careful. So we do have a bit of a safe time now this little window in between Eldain being able to use his ability. So this could be a time to start playing some bigger cards. Might be a good time to try the Stray's Cavalry, because it's not going to get stolen in the short term. I think we mark this. Now, this Elven Cutthroat might get destroyed by the fire anyway, but if it does, then the mark will get moved, and hoping it gets moved to the Hawker Smuggler, because if this gets destroyed, then I think we're getting our Stray's Bomber back.
Your bet will avenge us, Dwan!
Okay, so there is a trap. After 2 allied turns, turn start, damage all units on something, but it's dead. So, does it have power? Damage all units on the opposite row by 4. I guess the fire destroyed it? I guess? That's what happened? Yeah, and so that's how you got the fire trap? Gotcha. Okay. So, what, we have one more turn of safety before Eldain uses his ability. So, it could be time for another Stray's Cavalry then, I suppose. And in this situation,
We'll catch 'em all!
I guess we target the Hawker Smuggler. Okay, so yes, that gets destroyed. So that means we get the Stray's Bomber back. We boost our units. That is great. And Eldain, does have his ability back now. It means they're going to re-steal the Bomber. But fortunately, it's not a huge deal. Because, well, it's not a very strong card. And then we might even destroy this Elven Cutthroat. Okay, but now we'd like to get this melee row set on fire. We had our other Bomber, right? Yep. Okay. Let's do that.
I smell a leak.
Okay, well, we destroyed the unit that we would have potentially gotten back. And actually, that did boost the Scoia'tael Neophyte. They want to damage our units to the point where we have a 1 power unit. Also, I completely forgot about our leader, completely forgot about our leader building. Certainly not the first time I've done that. Certainly not. But, let's see. That is obviously something we're going to want to do pretty much right away. I'm also eyeing things like damage the highest unit by 15. That would be this Scoia'tael Neophyte. So this could be a good time to do that, and then boost the lowest unit by the amount damage. It'd be 12 and 12 right now, so it actually could get a little bit better if we wait. In which case, why don't we, rather than doing this now, we can would transform you, and it would be really good timing to do that. That might actually be the play. I think what we do is we use leader ability, and it'd be great if there were cards that had the same amount of power, but there are there aren't any. So we want to hit you. You try to get the mark to move as quickly as possible. Maybe. Sure. And then, so we could do the Martyrum Bear to convert you into a bear, because the lower power unit we do that to, the more net points we're gaining. That's a 21 point play here. Except the problem with that is, then we have the highest unit, which means Becker's Dark Mirror is no longer a great option for us, so we'd like to wait a little bit, and, if they are going to steal a card, it'd be great if they stole a 1 power card, so in some ways, keeping something weak like the Stray's Bomber is maybe not the worst idea. So I'm thinking that maybe the best option is actually just going with a Stray Slinger here. Or we would even go tactical advantage into, we were saying it'd be, Rayla does take a turn before she's ready to go. Whereas Xavier, what were we saying? It's been pronounced a bazillion different ways from different people in different situations, both in, multiplayer and tier in the campaign, and by himself and by the narrator, so I don't remember what we were doing, but Xavier, I think. He does have Zeal, so he can go immediately. Use a card, order, and give it 1 charge. Yeah, so we can do that for Rayla. So it'd be... Yeah, I think it'd be Rayla and Xavier. We would forget Reynard in that case again. Had I realized that we had this tactical advantage as well, then it would have made sense to keep Reynard as well. Then we would have had our big combo. But I think we still want to wait a turn before we do that. I think we go Slinger now. And the question is, which ones do we want to move? So, I think we think we just guarantee we get rid of you. Yes, you're marked, so... And between that and the fire, there is a somewhat decent chance you're going to get taken out, but just play it a little bit safe here. And then... Those archers are going to be a bit of a problem, aren't they? Because we are going to have a lot of boosted units, what with us being on high morale. And I don't think we want to damage the highest unit that they have, because that's going to be the ideal target for Becker's Dark Mirror. So I think we do this. Okay, there is Eldain, stealing a 1-power unit.
I was hoping you'd say that.
Okay, whenever you play an elf boost, it's adjacent units. So now, oh, except they have 1-power units? I mean, we have 2 1-power units, which is really nice. So do they. So I was going to say that this could potentially be a good time for Becker's Dark Mirror, because we definitely damage you by 15, and we would hopefully boost ourselves by 15, but there is a chance that they would get boosted by 15 instead, in which case it's not really helping us. So maybe that means we go with another slinger here, and it's going to be overkill damage, but if we do get rid of these guys, we can confirm. Let's see. Is there anyone else that we really want to get rid of? I mean, we don't want to have them with anyone hanging out on 1 power is the problem. And if we hit you, then that might end up happening. If we hit you, you're either going to be sitting on 2 power, or you're going to get destroyed by the fire. I mean, the fire hits you, you're still going to be on 1 power, so it might be kind of unavoidable. In any situation, there is a way in which they still have the weakest unit at the end of this turn, but I think we should give it a try. Oh, we get that back? Okay, I didn't even remember that they'd stolen that, but sure.
Onward, Fryhead!
Okay, this is looking like our time to use Becker's Dark Mirror, because you are the strongest unit. You're a 16, so we get the full 15 damage out of it. Our weakest unit is a 2, so we can boost one of you guys. And yeah, their lowest unit is the 3, so they're definitely not going to be ones to get boosted, so let's do it. Very nice. And we happen to get Knickers out here. Now, we don't really want Knickers to eat any of these cards, because they're pretty useful for us. There is a chance that he does that. Okay, and he will steal a unit that just gets destroyed. Oh, that's true. The Manticore trophy is damaging them every time they play something, or whenever they steal something. That's kind of helping us. I mean, granted, we are having the chance of getting those cards back if we destroy the units that are capturing us, but still. Okay, so I think that is probably the trap that lowers, or technically the unit, I guess, that lowers our next unit to the same amount of power of this. So that means we want to play something that does not have very high power right now. So that means we probably want to go with another slinger. We definitely do not want to do Gascon. So if we do this, doesn't matter as much anymore if we leave units on low power. In fact, we probably just want to destroy stuff. So that does make Rayla stronger, and we are anticipating that we will play Rayla using this. So I think we probably do go with a slinger. And we go for you. That's the mark is going to guarantee that this goes down. Well, actually, we only have one of our Trace Cavalry at this stage, so it may not be guaranteed to go down depending on which one it was that marked this. But there's also the fire, so you know, we'll definitely go for you. Definitely go for you. I think we might go for you. Okay, that is what I expected it to be. Yep. So just 2 damage we took there. Fortunately, we did not play Gascon, otherwise we would have lost a whole lot more power out of that. And we are going to need to bring in Rayla with tactical advantage on our next turn so that she has enough time to use her ability. Yeah, okay, so we're getting them out from their graveyard. when we destroy the cards that capture our unit, even if they are not still on their side of the board, if they're from their graveyard. That's huge. Okay, so now we need to do tactical advantage. And just make sure that I summon up to 2 units of your choice. So we do Rayla and Xavier. And we get to pick where we put them. I mean, sure. And you, doesn't matter where we put you.
Get into work.
So, I mean, the plan is obviously to give this to Rayla. I'm just doing it now. Yes, Rayla will still take a couple of, or 1 turn before she can use those abilities, but okay, now what we want to do is we could either go with Gascon or Martyr Bear. We actually don't have any damaged units at the moment, though, so this is not really an option for us. So I suppose that means it's got to be Gascon, and we're kind of hoping that they actually damage us here, otherwise this card is not going to do us any good. Or Knickers, I mean, if you want to eat it, I suppose that does work. Although we'd like to have enough time to take 1 more turn so we can actually use Rayla. So, Gascon it is, in that case.
Quick and painful this'll be.
And I suppose we'll move the Manticore Trophy because we can. There's Eldain stealing whatever our weakest unit is. Use an ally, play all copies from your deck. Looks like they only have 1 copy of that. Yeah, we don't have any damaged units. They do. So we definitely don't want to use Martyr and Bear on them. In multiplayer Gwent, you can play a card into your graveyard to discard it. I'm not sure if we've ever tried doing that in Thronebreaker, but that is technically the preferred solution here, or just passing right now. If we pass right now, we don't get the chance to use Rayla's 3 charges. I mean, is there any way we can play a card here that will definitely get damaged? Not sure that we can. Not sure that we can. Basically, I just don't want to be forced into using this on them. I want to play this into our graveyard. Let's see. Like, can we have an indication that this is possible? Let's try it. Okay, it does work, and we are still allowed to do this. So again, that was the best play, because we didn't have any damaged units, so we would have had to have used that Martyr Bear on one of their damaged units and turn it into a much stronger card, so we obviously didn't want to have that happen. So now, let's see. We do have leader ability back. Yes, obviously, we made a pretty big mistake forgetting to use that on the first few turns, but it may not actually matter all that much. Actually, before we do that, let's use Rayla to get out. I think we're going to want a Slinger. We'll use that to do a little more movement here. And we get rid of this Cutthroat, we'll get back our Stray's Cavalry, so let's do that. Who else has long-term value? Damage the highest enemy by the number of elf allies. Let's damage you then, I suppose. You are no longer a threat, so that's fine, we can leave you. Let's do that. Should get you back. That we do. But Rayla is not done yet. Rayla can still... Probably we're out of Slingers, but sure. I mean, it makes Gascon stronger. So, it's this, it's this, it's this. Just because you're not as powerful, not as much of a concern. And we may be able to still take you out with our leader ability. And then the last Rayla might be a little bit trickier. Oh, actually, no, it's gonna be Reynard. Tell you what, it's gonna be Reynard.
We must trust each other.
Because that means we get even more stuff for Rayla. So this is the combo we were looking for, was just using Xavier and Reynard to give Rayla a ton of charges, and that's pretty strong. That is, yes, it's gimmicky in large part because we don't have a lot of consistency. We don't happen to get those cards, then it's just not going to work for us. But on this occasion, it did. So, I mean, Stray's Cavalry don't have a lot of time to work here. I mean, we're about to use a leader ability charge, so it might actually be that the Scythemen are preferable here.
This harvest will be reaping black-clad heads.
And it perfectly fills our board, as it turns out, so that's pretty nice. And then, I mean, between the leader ability damage and the damage from the mark, War Dancer would go down. at the end of their next turn, which technically would give Rayla a bit of a boost. Does that matter when we are up by over 150 points? Almost 200 points? Maybe not, but, you know, we gotta send a message.
Slaughter them to a man!
So how's that, Eldain? Honestly, for whatever reason, it just felt like thus far in our playthrough, whenever we have a big story mission like this, it's always significantly easier than the other encounters.
Bloody battle, Eldain's unit was destroyed, and Eldain himself sat at Meve's feet, defeated
I think where this is going.
and dying.
Okay, are we gonna have the choice to either kill him or spare him? Because I was gonna say, we deliberately went with Rayla's option before we started the fight because we were concerned that otherwise she might leave. And if we do have the choice of killing Eldain, that would, I have to imagine, be another thing that Rayla really wants us to do and would not be pleased if we spared him. That would probably be much more important in that case, if that is going to be an option.
To die in a cemetery. Something amusing in it, wouldn't you say?
I mean, I guess.
I am surprised you are in the mood for humor.
All my tears I shed years ago. My family killed in a massacre aimed at eradicating our race. Senseless. Utterly senseless. Reyna, we have lost. Me, my Scoia'tael, the Enshe. We shall vanish from this earth. Your grandchildren will know us in fairy tales only.
I mean, he's being a little dramatic.
Lay my bones to rest in a grave. Let me part this world with dignity.
Okay.
Ager Dregared.
This is the part where Rayla is going to say absolutely not, and we're going to have the choice of either honoring Eldain's wishes or siding with Rayla. And we'll see. We'll see, but I think you can guess the direction I'm probably going to go if that is, in fact, the decision that we have to make.
Oh, please.
Yeah.
How dare he? Look, he laughs, Your Grace. This dog should rot in an open field.
Yup.
Need I mention the willow? The men he strung from it?
I mean, it's true. This guy has committed very many atrocities aimed at slowing us down and, well, just outright causing any possible harm that he can cause in whatever gruesome ways he can imagine. So yes, we can either grant Eldain's wish for a proper burial, and alternatively, we can say that he deserves no mercy. In terms of my personal opinion, would be that, okay, you know, we've defeated him, we've proved we are superior, the least we can do is give him an honorable death. However, given the situation in which we currently find ourselves, we've lost Iak, and we may be about to lose Rayla if we choose to go this route. I don't think we can make that risk. I don't think we can take that chance. I think we need to abide by Rayla's wishes here, even if they are morally questionable would be a stretch. They're morally wrong, but still, I think we kind of need to side with Rayla, because if we lose her, that's going to be such a huge blow. It's going to be really hard to recover from that. So I think, I don't love it, but I think we have to.
Mercy you don't deserve, Eldain. I shall leave you where you lie, where rats will gnaw at your bones.
If we still had Iak in our deck, in our team, we almost certainly would have done the opposite. We would not have been as reliant on Rayla, and I also doubt that Iak would be pleased with us if we chose to abandon Eldain out in the field like this. And, you know, basically it seems like Iak and Rayla are two opposite sides of the moral compass, and I don't know if you can have both of them, but it seems like it would be a really tough thing to do, where it'd be quite the balancing act, trying to keep each of them pleased enough with your decisions that they choose to stay without, at the same time, angering the other one.
In your boots, I would do the same.
I mean, at least he's a realist.
Vasse derad, ep again.
Meve gave the order to march that very night, not waiting for the day to break. She wished to leave behind as soon as possible the moulderwood and the rotting elven remains littering Kedva Genvid Cemetery. Black Rayla rode at the head of the caravan to the Queen's right, a satisfied smile playing on her lips.
Exactly. That's why we did it. That's why we did it. Don't love it, but I think we kind of had to. Oh, and we get a new card as well. This card has been added to your army and can be found in the command tent. The Mandrake. Let's claim it. And, of course, that was the main quest encounter in Moulderwood, so that was big. A lot of build up to that moment. Wow, that was a ton of gold. Same there. Are we suddenly going to be showered with the same quantity of resources that we got when we were outside of Edirne? Or that was Eldain himself. But look at this. Wow. I mean, that's crazy. Just put that in perspective. The amount of resources we just got in the past 10 seconds is probably equivalent to, I don't know, a couple of videos worth of resources. Yeah. Because it's been hard. It's been hard in Edirne. Find all that stuff. Is there more down this way? Ooh, there is. Oh, is that the right direction? Huh. Very interesting. For whatever reason, I had assumed that we were going to eventually end up going down this way and over to this village here. I mean, this might technically still be in Moulderwood over to the right, because this area over here, we saw the bridges, certainly still appeared to be in the woods. And I, for whatever reason, just assumed that we were going to end up going up and leaving the woods through that route. But I realize now that this is actually a dead end, so maybe we will end up doubling back a little bit to see what the deal is over there. But either way, we have now defeated Eldain and acquired a whole bunch of resources in the process. Did we compromise ourselves morally? Yes, definitely. It's also definitely not the first time we've done that, but we still have Rayla, and that is important because without her, our deck is still absolute garbage. So, with that being said, I think this is a good place for us to wrap up here. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you next time.